I want to share some stuff because every woman's terrified of cancer, right? And everybody's terrified, but particularly breast cancer. Well, I looked up some statistics of fiber. So higher the fiber intake, reduce cancer risk across the board. But like colorectal cancer, there's a stat that for every 10 grams of fiber that's increased from the average American diet, we see a reduction in cancer risk by 7%. But breast cancer is like the higher the fiber diet, it reduces risks
Yeah.
by 7 to 15%. So 15% reduction across the board just by
Hmm.
increasing your fiber. And then if you get to like gastric and esophageal, it's like 34 to 50% reduced risk. So like it's not only going to feed your microbiome, keep you regular, but it may very well be one of the most important
Yeah.
things you do for cancer risk.
And cancer risk increases after postmenopause. And as we get older, right, then the risk is
Yeah.
always higher. And even with colon cancer, one of the big things is fiber rich foods, to have good gut motility and having these short chain fatty acids to help you. And that's just not the only thing. There's so many other things, gut brain axis, you know, people
Hmm.
who have more fiber have this messaging, a little bit more, clear clarity and less anxiety. So many benefits from just this fiber.
Yeah. The reality is I think if people really understood how much control the microbiome had over the human body, and that essentially a low fiber diet basically kills off all the good probiotics and lets the nasty little buggers grow, and that they produce stuff you don't want,
You know
right?
what?
Like,
And the thing is, you do really have to think about your microbiome as a metabolic control center, because what is it doing? It's digesting your food. It's deciding how much energy to get out of the foods that you eat, and so right there, it could be like how much energy is not just metabolism as we think about metabolism, but from a microbial perspective. And we also know from research that the ratios of the microbes in you can determine whether weight loss is you're successful with weight loss and weight management or not. And the microbiome also holds on to this obesity memory. Let's say you are on a restricted diet and you lose a lot of weight, and you're happy, but the microbiome is like holds on to that memory because you were on a restricted diet. You were not eating all the flavonoids and the polyphenols and all the things that they really appreciate. So they don't have these bacteria that are really adept at burning energy, from food. So that weight comes back. So there's
yeah.
such a connection to microbiome and weight loss and weight management.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think it's fascinating. When I was working on my dissertation, I was, looking at, obviously, their byproducts, their enzymatic byproducts, and I came across a bunch of research looking at we know that they produce serotonin and GABA, and they metabolize them and all those things, but they were looking at drug metabolism, so the effectiveness of a particular medication. And what they found is it wasn't just the activity of one microbe. It wasn't if this microbe is there, it works better, but it had to be this microbe in a certain amount relative to this other microbe
Yeah.
in order for it to be metabolized properly to have like any real effect.
Yeah.
So even the things we sort of take for granted in medicine that, oh, we can give somebody a medication, it's all going to act the same. It's very
Mhm.
well all dependent on the microbes and the combination relative to each
Yeah,
other. And so it's
absolutely.
just much more nuanced than that. I can't wait for science to kind of advance
Yeah.
another 10 years and we get better data there.
I mean, at least you can like now versus like even when the Human Microbiome Project started. I mean, we know so much more,
Yeah.
just even just the functions that they do for us. I mean, what are they doing for us? They're producing these compounds, they're
Mhm.
producing vitamins, they're helping us with the neurotransmitters. And I mean, I'm not making this relationship or the symbiotic partnership romantic. It's just how it is. They're inside of us. They're our forever guests. They're not going anywhere. We better take care of them so they reward us, you know, just because of the symbiotic nature of the relationship by giving us what we need. So it just makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I always joke with people. I'm like, they'll say, "Well, which probiotic should I take?" Or, "I want to take this one or this one and whatever." And I'm like, "Look, the only reason why they're healthy is because there's a richness and diversity, there's a lot of
Yeah.
them, right? And the truth is lactobacillus, if it was the only microbe in your gut, would kill you
Yeah.
just the same as C. diff. Like,
Yeah.
you have to have variety.
Yeah, and we don't,
You know
I mean, if you really think
No.
about it, comparing us to the Hadza tribe or even the modern, hunter-gatherers, they have like 1,500, 2,000 species, and we have a paltry 300, 350, something like that. And I personally haven't even seen that in my practice. It's like, I think the highest is like 145 or 146, and the lowest is B20. So can you
Oh my goodness,
imagine the
yeah.
person with the 20 species, a ticking time bomb? Even before I even did the test, I knew there was a gut brain problem. There was of course, a gut problem, cardiovascular issues, just slew of problems, that are just waiting to like a perfect storm, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely increasing and making your microbiome resilient, because a resilient microbiome is a healthy microbiome. We all go through, we have times when we have to take things like antibiotics. And well, that's how it is. So, but if we have a resilient microbiome, they can bounce back very quickly from it. If not, it just becomes another layer to the problem. Um, I think it's very important to take care of them. And it's not just about adding a probiotic to your mix, it is about feeding them. And so you produce your own, bacterial, you increase your bacterial diversity.